What does it mean to be a vulnerable Christian man? Walking through life weak and powerless is not what Jesus had in mind for us. It's time to fight. It's time to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We are Obi, Shaun, Brandon, and Shane, and this is The Uncomfortable
Hello and welcome
Truth.
back to The Uncomfortable Truth. It is not uncomfortable that it is July, and I have a Christmas mug here that my boy is right here making fun of me for.
We are.
The last time I had this, we did talk about it. I said I like the ergonomic handle, and Brandon was really impressed that I knew that word.
I thought he looked it up before he came to the podcast, so
Yeah,
he could use it.
I
But
tried.
then I know he didn't.
No, I didn't. No, it was just something. Many years ago, do you guys remember Blockbuster?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
How many did you go to Blockbuster very much? Did you?
We tore it up, son.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Before Netflix and at the end of Blockbuster, they had this, you could pay a membership fee and go in and exchange as many movies as you wanted to.
They were trying to stay relevant.
It was like $30 a month.
Mhm.
And literally you could go in and change out one. It was either 2 movies at a time. You take 2 back and get. I watched so many movies during that period.
I remember that. And I also remember the late fees. Like if
Oh,
you didn't,
buddy.
Yeah. That hit me. You'd walk in there
Man.
and you'd owe like $28, and whenever you were like 18 years old, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And Mama wasn't happy about that.
Mama wasn't happy. What was the worst? Like, you had to make that decision if you had like a $40 late fee. It was like, I'm just going to put this thing in the slot outside and I'm going to get a new membership later.
Yeah. That's fine. That's funny.
One day I walked into Blockbuster and I had my wife's Blockbuster card, and it just has your names on there, no pictures, no nothing, whatever. So my wife's name's Courtney, and I got my movie. I walk up to the counter and I put my movie on the counter and I throw my card down. And the guy says, "Oh, cool, your name's Courtney." And I was like, "No, what dude's name is Courtney? That's my wife's card." He's like, real slow, methodical, like he just takes his finger and eventually makes it to his nameplate.
Oh, no. His name was Courtney.
His name is Courtney.
His name was Courtney.
That was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What
My
a-
roommate in
what
college.
a jerk.
My roommate in college was Kelly Courtney.
Okay.
Yep. So I used to always joke with him about how he had 2 female names.
Did he ever punch you in the face?
No, he was a lot smaller than me.
Okay.
He
Real
might
quick on
have
that-
wanted to.
He might have put fire ants in your bed.
He might have. I had a lot of food go missing. Maybe
Okay. Yeah.
He got back at
The
you.
little
another
guys,
way.
you got to watch them. They're sneaky.
I saw the other day on where Blockbuster, somebody bought an old Blockbuster movie store.
Uh-huh.
I think there's
And-
only one left.
Yeah, they turned it into an Airbnb.
Really?
Yes, you can go in there and evidently there was still a lot of movies in there. You could go in there and watch movies, and they got beds where you stay the night.
What an
popcorn.
idea.
That's cool.
I thought
I
it was
would do
Now,
that.
now listen, let's just think about this. If you're 20 years or younger, unless you've read it on the internet, you don't have a clue what Blockbuster is.
No, I was going to ask you what year that was, because that was since you. I haven't done the Blockbuster thing since I've been married,
You've been married how many years?
and I've been. Yeah,
I'm
how long
married
have you been?
17, almost 18 years.
So it must have been right when you got.
It was
married.
almost, I was thinking it was
Yeah.
close to 20 years ago. It kind of,
When we first got married, I had gas money to get to town to go to Blockbuster.
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
That's
You
crazy.
remember how broke you were when you first got
Oh
married?
my
Holy
gosh.
moly.
Yeah.
Just living on love. That's a real thing.
that is thing.
1,000%.
You better believe it.
My
Yeah.
wife didn't marry me for money. I
boy.
promise you, son.
You didn't
Mine
go. You got done with work and you came home.
Yes.
We didn't go out to eat. We barely had groceries in the daggum house.
That's
Shane,
right.
so I lived almost not officially with Shane and Courtney for a couple of times in my life, even though they're younger. They were married before me. And they lived in an efficiency apartment, essentially, on a college campus. And then their first home,
It was tiny.
tiny is not the word.
The second bedroom, you could maybe fit like a crib in there.
Wow.
And I remember staying there. But, at that age, you don't think of it as tiny. You think of it, this is our first place.
That's right.
Right. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
So,
It probably didn't get below about 79 degrees in that house.
no. And we could probably do a whole episode on how did we know our wives loved us without telling us they loved us. My wife fell in love with me, and I came to her the first time she ever saw me. I was in wind pants and a collared shirt tucked in, because that's what coaches wore a lot of times.
Did she make fun of you?
Oh yeah, still
Okay.
to this day.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, man, I must have been doing something really well to overcome that outfit.
Man. Yeah. I just remember looking at your face every day and wondering like how this guy's going to get married.
Little brother over there poking at you.
I'm thinking, I think it's important that everybody knows that. So us three and Obi, who's not here, so we can talk bad about him.
Oh,
we're
we
all
are.
on.
No, wait. I got to take his side on little
You
brother,
do.
right?
We're all on the text message thread, like many of you probably are. And Obi's out of town right now, vacationing. Shaun has been made to come back home and work while the rest of the family's vacationing. So there was a lot of smack
So
talking.
Obi can hang out on the beach.
Yeah, so Obi can hang out on the beach. So there was a ton of smack talking
Listen,
going on.
somebody's
got
got to sell some insurance
I know.
so that
I
the
know.
other guy can relax.
That-
Okay.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Somebody's
You're
gotta-
welcome, Obi.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
somebody's got to sacrifice. It needs to be the
That's
older
right.
brother.
That's
Because
exactly
we
right.
sacrificed our entire lives living with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I told him,
Yeah.
whenever I told him yesterday just to say thank you, I think that's when he got mad.
Respect your elders, son.
Obi, I'm doing my part to hold it down, man. But there's a lot of poop I'm waiting around in here.
Oh man,
Good stuff.
that's awesome.
All right, I'm gonna open this up in prayer, and
All
we're
right.
just gonna kind of talk. We're all coming off the heels of slight or vacations, somewhat, and just kind of recharging. And so we're going to talk about that and how that relates to our relationship with the Lord. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to come in here and just to be in your presence, Lord, and to honor and glorify you. Lord, I pray that we do that in everything we do. I pray that we're a light to you in everything we do. I pray that we're the Jesus that people see in their life. Lord, I just pray that we honor you with our show today, Lord, and that everything that we do points people towards you. Amen.
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 So I know Brandon and I, we got back. We go on a family camping trip to a lake called Lake Greason in Arkansas, which is like, it's just amazing. And we started talking about while we were there how long this family tradition has been going on. And this started, so we thought our family had a long-running tradition of going to the lake.
You
Our
got to
dad,
connect some dots. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
our dad has been going to this lake.
Same lake.
Same lake.
Same lake.
Same spot.
Wow.
Same campgrounds for 40, 45 years.
Mhm.
No, Dad's 60-something.
Yeah, but I don't think they started right when he was a kid.
Okay.
I think, but go ahead.
And then we go back and we start talking to my grandma's there. My mom's mom is at the lake. So when we go, there's anywhere from 15 to at times 50 of our family have been there at the same time.
Some
So-
come in and out, some stay the whole time, but
Right.
it's a big gathering.
So then we talked to my grandma, my mom's mom, and they brought my mom when they were probably 8 to 10 years old. So that's 50 years.
Wow.
And then we start talking to my mother-in-law, and they came to that lake,
She was like 4.
and she's 70.
So
She's 70.
65,
She may be
60
70.
65, 66 years ago.
She may be 71 or 72. So like 67, 68 years ago.
The coolest thing about all of this is that, they didn't know each other obviously then, but they were likely there
At some point.
at some point at the same time. Now they did stay at different coves sometimes, but it's the same part of the lake for almost 70 years.
Isn't that crazy?
That's unbelievable. Yeah. That's really cool though. How it's stuck.
Yes.
know.
And it really, this whole thing about aging and recognizing the importance of,
Legacy and
yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's the first time I probably remember that really, I'm 41. So we've been doing this forever. It's the first time I really remember thinking this is so impactful. So all of our kids are there. We've got cousins and great nieces and nephews for all sides of the family there. And just the impact that will have on our kids. Vacations are great. but it's really what's the intention of the vacation.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
are you spending time with family? Or are you slowing down enough to recharge? And that's
So when you're on vacation, do y'all have to tell like your kids, hey, put your phone down? Like spend time, you know, we're trying to be present here.
how do we?
Have y'all had to struggle with that at all?
Okay, you say phone or electronics because
Sure. Well,
electronics,
iPads.
same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes and no. We do allow them to take. I think Miller, my oldest, is the only one who actually has a cell phone, but every one of our kids has a device.
Yep.
They can take those devices, but there are. Did y'all set guidelines before we went to the lake on like how?
Listen, parenting is a constant juggling act. So anybody tells you that they do it exactly right, they're either militant or they're lying. So
Yeah.
you normally get
Probably
to
the second.
Yeah, you normally get to a place and
Yeah.
you and your wife visit and it becomes an issue and you go, we need to come up with a plan for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for us, typically in the summer, it's been you have to read for at least 30 minutes to get 30 minutes of phone time during the day. That is
That's
phone time,
I like that.
a device.
Device time.
Now, that doesn't mean that we don't let them sit around and watch a movie if the cousins are over, stuff like that.
Yeah, a family movie
That's
is
different,
not considered device time in our
100%.
house.
Right.
If you're doing something
Sure.
together.
Here's the beauty of it, though. At the lake, this is one of the reasons I love this vacation, is we pretty much say this is not an option after your 30 minutes is over, and they go outside and they play. And at this place, we're not worried about where they go, pretty much. Like they can roam or they can hop in the lake for the most part, and there's always eyes on them, or we'll be out boating. So it's an easy vacation to not have to deal with that
Sure.
as much as if we were just sitting somewhere.
Also, there's so only my oldest has an actual cell phone. The cell phone service is not that great, anyways. We do not have internet
That's good.
while we're there. You can't. Not enough internet to hook a hotspot up and watch it on TV
Sure.
or for the
Mhm.
kids to connect.
And how long were y'all there?
We were there 10 days. Mom and Dad were there with all of our kids for 2 weeks.
So
Same time every year?
We try
Close.
to go around mid-July to
yeah, June to July.
mid-June to July.
Yeah.
So the options, it's a lot easier to police this than when we're at home because the options are really limited. The kids they'll get in the cabin and if they are watching an iPad or something, or playing a game, they're usually doing it with one of their cousins or they're outside playing with their cousins. So
Sure.
it didn't feel like a constant battle.
It wasn't.
Now when we're home,
It is.
it's a constant battle.
But so to the vacation point, and I'm just speaking for me now. When I vacationed before I became an entrepreneur and controlled more of my schedule, which is a whole nother conversation, vacation was always stressful to me because I was always having to get back to what I considered work, which means there's always work to be done. No, I'm not saying that, but I didn't enjoy them as much as I do now because I can literally just say, hey, the Monday I get back, I'm not putting anything on the calendar for that day. So I can recoup mentally for work to get ready for the,
Sure.
being back. But there's something about, for me, Leah always asks me, she goes, I can be a little crotchety. Let me just call it like it is. I'm a work in progress daily. She's like, what is your ideal vacation? I mean, she asks me that all the time. And it all goes back to the root challenge that the devil has attacked me my entire adult life, and it's one that I can control.
Right.
So if I want to work a couple hours early in the morning, I can.
Sure.
If I want to go get a workout in, if I want to go play golf,
Sure.
if I want to spend the whole day on the lake, it's about me. That sounds selfish, but I'm just saying it like it is.
No, I think I think you're just being honest.
Yeah,
That's the
I'm-
way we all feel, right?
Yeah, I'm being fully but I
Yeah.
think some people are better at, like Obi. Okay, Obi, to me, from my perspective, most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
is pretty content being a servant on vacation in some regards.
Yeah, we've had these specific
Yeah,
discussions
sure.
about when Obi goes to the beach. He knows that's a working vacation for
Part
him.
of that's part of what we're gonna do.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You're
Carry
gonna-
tents
yeah.
and
Yeah.
And I got a long ways to go
prepare food.
to get to there.
Sure. Sure.
So I think, Shane, the background and backbone of vacation and recharging is, I know for me, when I was sitting still and I'm looking at God's creation, and one of the most beautiful places to me in my life, it is not hard to get in his presence.
Yeah.
And that's recharging, as opposed to being busy, hustle and bustle, always having something to need to be done here.
I don't want to confuse, like, I don't want to confuse an issue of entitlement to recharging. Like, we don't deserve to get to do nothing or whatever we want when we want.
Right. I think that's
even
a
on
great
vacation.
point.
Sure.
Great point.
I think I feel that way sometimes. Like you're talking about on vacation. It's like, I'm gonna do what I want. Hey, if I want to take a nap, you leave me alone. Do not wake me up. Or if I want to sit in the chair outside and do not, we don't deserve that. And it's different than, like, actual recharging is completely different than the entitlement of feeling like you need a moment for yourself to recharge.
Yeah, I'll take that a step further. So entitlement to me is I'm going to just do nothing because I'm in my brain, because I just want to be a lazy bum for as long as I want to be.
I've worked hard to get to this vacation, to this point.
Right. So this is probably another podcast, truthfully, but the profession, what we do as a business now, I have conversations about money and mindset all the time. It's part of my everyday conversations. And one of the things that comes up the most often is people are so busy that they have not even been able to create enough time in their schedule to think about what they think about the things that matter to them.
To think about what they think about.
That's exactly right. One of our, to ruminate. So literally, if you don't ever slow down enough, so if you're full tilt to your sleep and then your feet hit the ground and you're full tilt to your sleep again, when do you think about where God's needing to be in your life?
You got a great point. I mean,
You don't.
That's
So
I mean, that's difficult, especially for people like me,
Right.
And you. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think when it comes to entrepreneurs, period, they probably struggle with that more than most people.
Yep. So the thing that just came to my mind is, let's just take a vehicle for a simple analogy. If we don't slow down enough to take that vehicle to the mechanic, to put it up on the lift, to get the brakes serviced, get the oil changed, make sure all things are kosher, we're going to be eventually driving that thing without any brakes, okay? And it's going to eventually just fall apart because we've run it into the ground. Same thing with our bodies and our minds.
That's funny that you use that analogy, because Courtney was supposed to get her rotors
turned
yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Had to cancel the appointment because they're so busy with
Right.
other stuff.
Right. Okay, so I tell people all the time now, and I try to be very careful when I say this, because I know everybody's at different walks of life. I'm trying to create a life that is pleasing to the Lord, and believe me, I fail daily, that I never want to retire from.
Right.
Period.
Sure.
But 5 years ago, all I could think about was retirement, and I was 35.
I know.
Why?
Because I didn't have any time. Even when I took a vacation, I was exhausted.
What was so alluring about retiring from the position that you were in in that moment?
Because the best way I can articulate it at this moment is there was never a moment where I could feel like I could truly recharge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even when I went on vacation, I wasn't recharging. I was just putting off what had to be done. That was an inevitable, non-ending, perpetual thing. And some of that's mindset and my behavior. I know that now.
So I feel like that you were probably socially conditioned to believe that, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do.
You're right.
I'm supposed to go get a degree, go teach school, retire, and enjoy my,
enjoy the 7 years you have left.
Yeah.
Assuming you get there.
Yeah,
4
maybe.
years is your average life expectancy after retirement.
Yeah.
I always say you can't find retirement in the Bible. It's
100%.
nowhere in here.
It didn't.
It's because we're not supposed to retire. I feel like our life is ever evolving whenever it comes to spreading the gospel, and we're not supposed to ever stop.
Yep.
Whenever you retire, you become content in doing nothing. And do you think that God is going to bless that?
No, but I know who loves that.
Yeah.
The good old DEVIL.
That's exactly right.
'Cause he
It
don't
gets
have
all
to
up
do
in it.
anything.
I
He
don't
just-
mind as the devil's playground.
That's
you know?
exactly
Yeah.
right.
He don't have to do anything at that point. He's just like,
Yep.
okay, they're not doing. They checked out, so I'm marking them off my list. I'm
Yep.
gonna worry about this other dude
Yep.
or chick.
So let's talk practically for just a second. Okay. We're around 40, give or take. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was no 2-week vacations, first of all, like consistently. And if it was, I was stressed to the hilts. Okay. So let's
You're
just
talking about in your own life.
In my own life.
You weren't able to take.
Right.
Yeah, we used to plan our vacations around your work
schedule.
summer schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was a middle school principal. But my point to this is practically, I think the thing I'm trying to get across is if you cannot prioritize slowing down enough to get in the presence of the Lord, it will be an even more uphill battle to do the things I think we're called to do the most, biblically speaking.
Sure.
And
so
vacation is a way to do that.
Yeah,
if
that's
we do it right.
That's so even if you don't have money to vacation, and I heard this the other day and I loved it, and find a place where you can get in the presence of the Lord
Yeah.
once a week, once a month, and just slow down.
It's
Stop.
essentially easier to do that when you're on a vacation that's not in the vicinity or in the circle of your day-to-day
That you're
life.
accustomed to.
Right.
Mhm.
Now, I know there are vacations like you just went on, Disney. That's a busy vacation.
Very.
You
yes.
like
You
are
know
you,
that.
Are you
it's a-
exhausted?
Yeah, I mean it's a constant, it's a rat race. You know, I mean you're just going from ride to ride to ride to ride to park to park to park to park. I mean, at the end of the day, you just pass out in the bed because you're so wore out, and you're
Yeah.
like, gosh, man.
You literally walk like 10 miles a day.
Yeah, no kidding. There was a lot of people that were there. We were with a pretty large group, and they were like, "Oh, we walked 8.5 miles today.
Yeah.
We walked literally 10 miles today. We did that." I mean, you just don't realize it. You're just stepping to death. You know,
Yeah.
going all over the place. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's more of a working. You know, it's hard to relax in that atmosphere.
Yeah.
However, I always try to be intentional whenever it comes to telling my children, hey, put your phone up. There's nothing to me that's more disrespectful than whenever you're sitting. One of the places we went and ate was called the 50s Diner. I believe it's in Epcot, I believe. Or maybe it's in Hollywood Studios. No, it's in Hollywood Studios. And at the 50s Diner, where they used to shoot on the set of the Golden Girls back in the day, and a lot of people might not know who that is, but the Golden Girls are, whenever I was young, my mom used to watch the Golden Girls. And anyway, they're at the 50s Diner.
It's a 50s primetime cafe.
That's
Is that
it.
right?
That's
in
it.
Hollywood.
Hey, and
Okay.
their food is excellent.
Okay.
And we had to reserve that like 2 weeks before we got there to have that spot.
As many times as, I mean, I've been to Disney, I think 4 or 5 times,
Yeah.
maybe 4. I've never been to
Yeah.
the 50s.
And their
Prime
food's
time
really
cafe.
good, and that's why we like it. And, you know, like if your elbows are on the table, they'll tell you to get your elbows off the table. I mean,
So they're taking you back to the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool. And the whole atmosphere is nothing but 50s. You
Yeah.
know, everything is really old school. They got pay phones in there, you
Nice.
know. You know, and my 13-year-old was like, "What's that?" So I was like, "Yeah, that's how we had to." When I was growing up, we had to stop and put a quarter in
Yeah.
if we wanted to call mom
Yeah.
and dad. And so anyway, whenever we got there, my kids, they pulled out their phones. And anyway, and I was like, "Put your phones up." And so because you got your waiter or waitress coming around and talking to you,
Mhm.
to me, there's not too many things that's more disrespectful than somebody being on their phone whenever the waiter is saying, "Hey, what can I get you to drink? What would you like to order?" And then you're over here staring at your phone. Total disrespect. I mean, that's one of my pet peeves.
But that's not how our 10-year-olds to 25-year-olds view that.
That's right.
because
No.
unless they're taught,
That's correct.
because
Or-
that's what they see.
Exactly. And so let me get the egg off my face, So but I try to be intentional about recognizing that and
Yeah.
saying, hey, look, whenever you are engaging or about to engage in conversation with, we need to be intentional
Mhm.
about putting these down. And the other day, my wife and we were watching our podcast, and I had my phone like this, and my wife was like, "Why are you on your phone? That is so disrespectful." I said, "I promise you, just give
I
it a
was
second."
looking up
I was
something.
looking at a Bible
Yeah.
verse.
Same here.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm doing right now.
Looking at a Bible verse, or I was about to. I was presenting that day, and I was reading some notes that I had. And
Yeah.
I probably need to get a tablet so it doesn't, so the viewers don't
It doesn't
think.
appear as if.
Because it's an automatic red flag when people see that.
Yeah.
So if we were all sitting here and we were having a business meeting
Mhm.
and you saw me grab my phone and do this, y'all are both going to be like, I can't believe that guy's on his phone. And we're sitting here working on a big acquisition
Right.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so there's a lot to say about that. It's almost like before you, hey guys, just want to let y'all know all my notes are on my phone here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be, taking notes or looking at. You really need to let people know that ahead of time. But nevertheless, back to the 50s diner, my kids were both on their phones, and I said, hey, put your phone up until we get done eating. I don't want to see your phone out again.
Mhm.
That is just, it's not cool. It's really not cool. I mean, like, let's all talk, and, and on top of that, we got, this guy's going to rip y'all and make you stand in the corner if you
I
get on
love
your
it.
phone.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Or if you have your elbows on the table. And
Yeah.
so we kind of put the fear of God in them too. They didn't want to have to stand in the corner or do anything.
How did they accept that? How did they react to that?
Yeah. Of course, my 13-year-old rolled her eyes
Okay.
and was like, what dadgum, Dad, what the heck?
Whatever, Dad.
Yeah. And then Lexi was like, okay, no
Okay.
problem, which is the 19-year-old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's really important whenever it comes to that. And then you can definitely go back to Scripture and say, you can relate it back to Scripture. And I believe in a lot of ways whenever it comes to discipline and being present,
Mhm.
in whether it's with God or whether it's with somebody that you're talking to. You may be sharing the gospel with somebody, or you may have an opportunity to share the gospel, and then you never even capitalize or you never recognize that opportunity because you were too
We
attached
weren't present.
to whatever that device
Mhm.
was,
Mhm.
That's good.
When you see Jesus in the Bible, you see how present he
Yeah.
was with everybody that he was around. And there was times where he said, hey, I can't be present with you. I have to be present with my Father.
That's right.
But there were the times that he was with people, he was present. And that's our ultimate example.
So 1 Timothy 6:6, and there's a ton of verses about peace, calmness, slowing down. I think the key theme here is that the angst, anxiety, all those things through the Lord, he can help us work through those. But it's very, very simple. But godliness with contentment is great gain. Why that one jumped out at me at all the ones I was looking at is I recognize that a lot more when I slow down. I recognize the impact and importance of contentment in God. And it doesn't mean that we can't be pursuing success. It means that we must be more aware of what matters most while we're doing that. And when you can't
Yeah.
slow down, you can't see that.
That's right.
It's like driving that car that hadn't had the rotors turned or the brakes changed or the oil changed. It's going to eventually, our body's going to eventually peter out on us.
Contentment and ambition can exist at the same time
Mm-hmm.
with gratitude.
It's good. It's good.
Situational awareness is a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
In life, period. But I mean, you can take situational awareness whenever it comes to sharing the gospel, whenever it comes to being in a dangerous situation, whenever it comes to your marriage.
You just took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Situational awareness and us being aware and where does that begin?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like baby steps, and then it can, where does it start at? And you can apply it to every aspect of your life. And it's such an important thing.
Yep.
And it's such a biblical thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that River Barrios,
Yep.
he was one of the guys we had here on the podcast. And
If you haven't listened to that episode's not in video, but it's a great one. I think it's like season 2 episode around 37 or so. So check that out.
It's really good. And River and I, we had breakfast a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about how different would we act as believers if every person that we saw had either heaven or hell stamped on their forehead. Every person that we saw. And he said, dude,
Man.
I mean, he kind of teared up whenever I said that. He was like, I would just run around and talk to everybody who had hell stamped on their forehead and just tell them about Jesus. Like,
I think he's doing that anyways.
I would be intentional. Like yeah, no kidding. And, and I was walking around Disney, hundreds of thousands of people everywhere, through the Magic Kingdom the day before yesterday. And I was just imagining, if everybody here or half the people here or 75% of the people here had hell stamped on their forehead, what would I say to them right now? And
you think you'd be like Jeremiah?
Man, I just don't know if I would be bold enough to just walk up and say, hey, man, can I tell you about Jesus? He loves you. And, how do you even walk up to a stranger? And then, oh, by the way, whenever we were at Disney, a third of the people there spoke a different language.
Yeah.
It made me it kind of convicted me. It didn't kind of convict. It convicted me in a big way. And I was like, wow, I'm not even bold enough for the Lord. It kind of hits you, in the gut. And you're like, what do you do in this situation? Do you start handing out flyers? I mean, how do you show people? How do you plant that seed? Is it always just with your actions, or is it being bold enough to walk up to that person and say, hey, if they truly did, if I was sitting in this room right now and you guys saw that I had hell stamped on my forehead, you would be like, listen, man, let's just pray for you right now. And it would make you emotional on a level that, you probably wouldn't be able to comprehend because y'all know me. Yeah. But for all these people you don't know, how do you draw them in? What do you say? What do you do, in that situation? And how, and why are whenever you look at it, God put these people in our lives like River. We have these conversations, and then all of a sudden you're walking around going, you feel so much more convicted whenever you think about it in that light. So,
I think there's a ton of things we could talk about after that.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll go into it on the next episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a good segue into the next episode. Thanks for joining us today. I do want to mention one more Bible verse, Luke 6:45. A good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart, and an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. What you say flows from what is in your heart. What's in our heart today? What's in your heart today? And what is overflowing? And if there's not enough room for the good and the evils overtaking it, we need to take a reflection of that and figure out what's going on. Thanks for joining us today. If you would hit those buttons, like, share, subscribe, help us reach more people for Jesus. Go out and kick the day in the face, and we'll catch you on the next one.